welcome to another episode of Pet Pals. I'm Bethany Davidson, the Humane Educator at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. Animal wrangling for us, as always, is our volunteer coordinator, Sean Snyder. And we had some cats on our last episode, a little bit more challenging to wrangle. Michelob, probably the easiest cat we'll have in many episodes. Michelob is one of our senior cats. He's about 8 years old, and this is kind of one of his favorite things to do, is just to lounge around on a lap. But what you might not be able to see right now, there's something really special about Michelob, is that he is a tripod cat. He is missing part of his right front leg, and it's like a unique kind of thing. You know, usually when you see a tripod cat, it's kind of amputated at their shoulder or their hip. But this, we're thinking, probably is like a birth defect type of a thing, some congenital things there. And so he has part of it, and he just kind of, like, you think he doesn't have anything, and then all of a sudden he's moving it around, and he likes to, swipe at toys with it. And he's just a really, fun, playful guy, and he's super unique. Very affectionate, loves to hang out in a cardboard box, loves a soft blanket, all the typical cat things. Obviously, he's not missed many meals. So those are, he's just, like, we can't say enough good things. The volunteers, he's in the greeter cage, and he's the first cat that they kind of interact with, and they'll sit there for a long time just because he's so into the attention and purring, and they just enjoy spending so much time with him.
So because he is a tripod cat, does he require any special accommodations?
So the most important thing that we want to talk about specifically with Michelob is his weight, right? When they have only 3 legs, they don't have as much another place to kind of distribute their weight from. So that can increase issues with, joint health, arthritis. So he is going to be on a bit of a diet until he gets down to that healthy weight to make his joints healthier. There's also things that, sometimes are recommended, joint supplements to help stave off arthritis and just, overall make things a little bit easier for him in terms of his mobility. But overall, most tripod cats adapt really well, and it seems like, Michelob here has, in fact, done that. They don't need a ton of accommodations in the home. They can struggle with jumping sometimes. So, if he wants to be able to jump up onto a surface to, say, look out the window or something like that, having an intermediate surface or landing can be helpful, or some ramps in the house, slippery floors, maybe some rugs so that he has a little bit more traction. But for the most part, they adapt really well and don't need a ton of extra things. You do want to make sure, especially with a cat like Michelob that is comfortable being carried around, that you are allowing him to walk. He needs the exercise. So, you don't want to not with just him, but any tripod cat, we want them to walk around. We want them to be able to be mobile and get that good exercise. But because we do adoption interviews, anybody who's taking on a tripod cat or any other cat with special needs, we have a deaf cat right now. We have a bunch of cats that need special diets for different medical conditions. So we'll go over all of those things in our adoption interviews to make sure that you have all the information you need to feel comfortable in making them part of your family. If you think that Michelob is going to be the perfect addition, you can go to visit fcac.as.me to book your appointment to meet him. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, our dog floor is starting to fill up again. So we have the rest of our show, we're going to showcase some of our adoptable dogs for you. And the first up is Bert. Bert is kind of the epitome of what we frequently say, don't judge a dog by their kennel behavior. In his kennel, Bert is quite vocal. He likes to jump up on things. He doesn't look like what you see right now. So we want to make sure that, we're, again, reminding everyone, right now, we're doing things a little bit differently, but in the future, if the kennels do open up, you want to make sure you're reading those profiles and not just judging a dog based on how they are reacting in a kennel, because kennels are not a natural environment. They're very stressful. It's not a home environment. So you just really want to make sure you're taking that into account with Bert and all of the dogs. Bert is super friendly. He can still be a little bit vocal, but he is very affectionate. He does think that he's a lap dog, and he loves to lick every person. He's just licking Sean's arm. When he was being processed, our Animal care tech Larissa, all he wanted to do was lick her face. He wanted to sit in her lap. So he's a super affectionate guy. He's also known for being quite playful, but does need to learn some manners, like it's not necessarily okay to climb up in everybody's space and lick them on the mouth. So he does need a little bit of good manners training, but he's treat motivated, so that's something that should come fairly easy to him, as long as you're using the right value treats. So, definitely playful, energetic. His reaction to other dogs is varied. So if you are thinking of adding him as a dog to a multi-dog household, definitely doing the meet and greets. Those are required here, but sometimes it might take one or, not just one, but two meet and greets to kind of see if it's going to be a good fit. So kind of really paying attention to that as well.
So we noted that Bert's a little bit head shy. What does that mean?
So head shy means that dogs typically don't like it when things kind of suddenly reach for their head. They kind of back away. They're not into that. And not only with his head did we notice that, but mostly with Bert we noticed he didn't like things around his neck. So he got his collar on when he was sedated during his neuter surgery. So when they were trying to restrain him to do his vaccines and things like that, they just really noticed that he wasn't super comfortable with things being touched around his neck. As he's gotten more comfortable in the shelter, we have seen that he has been less nervous about that, but we want to make sure that potential adopters are aware of that, especially if they have, kids in the household saying like, hey, Bert may not want you to, put your arm around his neck and give him a hug and things like that. Sometimes it can come from, past types of collars, whether they're using a prong collar, choke chain, shock collar, or, if he had been on a leash that was too tight, things like that, that kind of make that feeling a little bit more negative to him. But just want to keep that in mind. Again, we have seen, some improvement in that area, but it's always good to err on the side of caution if animals are fearful about being touched in a specific place. If you are not afraid of getting some slobbery kisses from Bert and want to make him part of your family, then you can go to visit fcac.as.me to start that process. Our next guest is another somewhat vocal guy. This is Creole, and he is our Border Collie mix. He's got a great color pattern. That's the blue merle. It's definitely very distinctive and very eye-catching. He's about 2 to 3 years old, and while some people might say, oh, he's starting to settle in, kind of out of that puppy phase, he's a Border Collie. He's never going to be out of that puppy phase, right? He is a dog that came to us as a stray. And when you're thinking about Creole, what I think of most is super energetic. He has a lot of energy. He definitely needs to burn that off. He's super smart because, of his breed, but has a lot of energy. And you might hear he's doing some reverse sneezing. He gets super excited. And sometimes when he gets super excited, he needs to kind of like take a second, regulate his breath. It's not an uncommon thing in dogs, but it's something that we have noticed that happens a lot with Creole when he gets really excited. He's a friendly dog, playful dog, but most things really, you're not going to see so much the affectionate side of Creole until he's worked off some energy. He is a dog, like most of our dogs, that needs to work on their manners. He likes to jump up. He, not in a malicious way, but just, in an excited, playful way. So he needs to learn to keep his feet on the ground and things like that. But he does have some basics, sit and down, and he can take treats fairly gently. They say he walks pretty nicely on a leash. For the most part, we have a lot of really strong pullers, and while he can pull a little bit, he's not, the strongest or the worst by any means. We have recommended him for no small children just because of the jumpy thing. He doesn't, he's not huge. He's still under 50 pounds, but he could knock over some small kids unintentionally. So we're looking for, those types of things. And again, a little bit vocal, a little bit whiny and excitable. So making sure that you're not looking for a dog to be super quiet. Maybe if you live in an apartment, he might not be the best fit for you. And he's also working on some mouthiness issues when he gets excited as well. Just kind of that typical young dog stuff.
So obviously he's going to probably get a lot of attention because he's very, very handsome. But what do people know about herding dogs before they commit to a herding dog?
So we talked about his energy level. Working dogs, border collies in general, are high energy dogs, but they also need a lot of mental stimulation. So, he's not a dog that's going to lay on your couch all day and hang out with you. You can take him on family walks, but he needs a lot of exercise. And he also needs that mental stimulation. So, setting him up in an agility or some other type of sporting dog program where he can kind of do something. But otherwise, making sure you have a big yard for him to run around in off leash. You're taking him on those long hikes. And you're working on that training. And training is not just for good manners, it's also for mental stimulation and using different types of enrichment in your house. If you don't have other animals, hiding food for him to find and different treat puzzles and things like that so that he can keep his mind stimulated. But also being aware that herding dogs herd. So if you have kids or other animals in your house, he's going to be more prone to be like, no, you belong over here. I'm going to herd you over here and things like that. So if you are interested in Creole, I would definitely encourage you to go online and do a little bit of research about the breed so you're better prepared as to what you're getting yourself into and not just saying, oh, that's a good looking dog. I'd like him to make him part of my family. If you're prepared for all the craziness that might be Creole in your life and you want to make him part of your family, then go to visit fcac.as.me. We have a lot of toy lovers on the dog floor, and Luna is among them. She loves a good toy. She wasn't even happy with the sampling that was out here. She had to steal another one, actually 2 different ones. She likes a variety of toys. Luna is a fun dog. She's the dog that will literally pull every toy out of the bin. Not necessarily destroying them all right away, but you're gonna have toys all over your floor if you take Luna home and make her part of your family. She is our Shar-Pei mix, and she's about 4 years old now. Luna is a very, very friendly girl. She's done well in a lot of different settings, but she can be a little bit startled and wary in new environments. So, if you're taking her home, she's going to be a little bit nervous at first, but then pretty quickly after a couple of days, she's going to warm up, and then she's just a super fun dog. She's affectionate. She's very playful. She does still need to work on some manners, but we have done training with her before, and she is very responsive to that. She learns very quickly. She's very food motivated. So the training's not going to be a big deal. I think the biggest thing with Luna is that she's a puller. So leash walking her, she really needs to work on that polite leash walking. Again, she loves her toys, so you don't want to just snatch toys from her. You want to work on a trade, trading her one toy for another if you're playing fetch. Not just waiting for her to drop it, but just having 2 toys and then alternating when she drops it, tossing a different one. She'll bring it back, drop it, toss the other one that you picked up, type of a deal. So that she, doesn't start to resource guard, and also so she doesn't inadvertently bite your hand, things like that. But Luna is a super fun dog. Again, just needs a little bit of maintenance here and there, but overall, very friendly. She hasn't done well with small children. So that's really her biggest restriction, is that we're looking for a house with teenagers or adults only. Because small kids, the loud noises, fast movements, Luna really doesn't respond well to that. It makes her quite nervous. So we're trying to avoid setting her up for failure in that regard.
So although Luna's new to our adoption floor, she's not new to the shelter, right?
That's right. Unfortunately, Luna originally came to us as a stray in the fall of 2022, and now has been returned for a third time. This is her third stay here, her third intake. One time she was returned because she just didn't do well with the small children in the home. And then most recently, last week, or maybe last week, the beginning of this week, just because her owners were having an issue with their home, and they had to, I guess, leave their home. So they weren't able to take Luna where they were going. So they brought her back to us. And it's important for people to understand, when we're committed to an animal, we're committed to that animal forever. So they can get adopted and get returned back to us. We're going to take our animal back and try to find them their next home. And hopefully, that one will be forever. But we are very committed. Luna's not the first animal that this has happened to. Dixie was on the show a couple times because she got returned to Dwight, a variety of animals. So anytime it doesn't work out, we're happy to take our animals back and try to find them a better placement. If you think that you can handle Luna's toy loving thing, you can, handle her strength, but also you have, the right type age children in your home, you want to make her part of your family, you want to go to visit fcac.as.me. Our next guest is often referred to as the most laid-back dog on the adoption floor. This is Miss Mira, and she is a 3 to 4 year old terrier mix. Everybody has wonderful things to say about Mira. I don't think there's a staff person or volunteer who doesn't just, rave about her. She is very polite, very well-mannered, very laid back, very chill. She's the nicest leash walker, especially given that she is, 65 pounds. She walks really nice on the leash. She sits nicely. She takes treats nicely. She occasionally has those bursts of energy, but for the most part, keeps all her feet on the ground. Like, in my opinion, Mira is like a great first dog. She has those basics down. She's, pretty easygoing, out of that puppy phase. So, depending on what you're looking for, she's going to be a great fit for a lot of different households. We don't have any restrictions in terms of, how old the kids can be. She's done well with other dogs that we have seen her interacting with. And also, while our assessment's not 100% indicative of her behavior in a home, didn't seem to have any issues with cats when we walked her through the cat floor either. So she has tons of potential. Just a wonderful dog that we can't wait to get into a forever home.
So her ears are cropped. People probably notice that. What's FCAC's position on cropping ears?
So when you go through our contract, there is a line on cosmetic surgeries for dogs. When you sign our contract, you're saying that you are, for all animals, in fact, that you're not going to do any cosmetic surgeries because we don't believe that that's necessary. So ear cropping is something that will be considered purely cosmetic. For the most part, docking tails, there are situations where it's medically necessary, but a lot of times that's a cosmetic thing. Declawing cats is cosmetic. So when you sign our contract, you're saying you're not going to do that to your dog. Ear cropping used to be done for like breed standards for certain breeds. A lot of times now, specifically with pit bull type dogs, it's done to make them look more intimidating. They like the look. It looks more intimidating. Like you're a guard dog, whatever. They like that look. Makes the person look more tough, right? Mira is not a tough dog in any way, shape, or form. Again, there's no medically necessary reason to do it. So, just be mindful. Yes, Mira is the sweetest dog ever, but if you're making her part of your family, other people might see her and think that she's a little bit more intimidating. But for us, she's been a great ambassador. We've taken her to the radio. She's gone to multiple school events. She's going to be the dog that I use for the foreseeable future till she gets adopted with Girl Scouts. So not only is she going to be a great ambassador for shelter dogs, she's going to be a great ambassador for her breed, as well as for dogs who unfortunately have had their ears cropped and things like that, because looks can be deceiving, and she's a great example of that. If you want this super chill dog to be part of your super chill family, then you can go to visit fcac.as.me to make those first steps. Our final guest today is another energetic working dog. This is Rex. He is our cattle dog mix, and he is also another toy lover. He is a super sweet guy. When he first came in, he was trapped. He was running at large, and they had trapped him, and definitely seemed a little shut down when he first came in. We're like, is he going to come around or not? And once he kind of got comfortable, he blossomed into this super fun, goofy guy. Very playful, very energetic. Has the goofiest looks sometimes. He's an excellent soccer player. I don't know if you knew. He likes to kick his jolly ball, and he will actually kick it to you and wait for you to kick it back. So he's got excellent soccer skills. So if you're looking for that level of energy, ultimately he's going to be a good fit. Much like with Creole, we've recommended no small kids just because he isn't always aware of his size and his energy level and might knock some kids over. But one of the things that we have discovered about Rex is that once he's worked off some of that energy, he is super affectionate. So he's a good mix, but you do need to make sure that he's getting, appropriate physical and mental stimulation. And he also has a history of doing pretty well with other dogs. The person who found him, when he was out and about, when they would let their dogs out, he said he reacted pretty favorably to their dogs. Although, in the kennel environment, he's pretty grumbly and vocal. But he's vocal overall. He has a vocal play style. He's done well with, some dog-to-dog play groups here. He just, learning his specific body language is going to be important.
So you've talked a lot about Rex's great personality. He does have a health challenge that a potential adopter needs to be aware of. What is that?
So we test all of our dogs for heartworm when they come in, and unfortunately Rex did test positive for heartworm. So that's going to be his biggest challenge. We are looking for either an adopter or a rescue to pull Rex. We've started some beginning treatments, but not his full treatment for that. That's why we talk about preventatives. Preventatives are super important. The preventatives that we give the dogs here every month for heartworm are way less expensive overall than the actual heartworm treatment. So it is really important. And because he is heartworm positive, while we are giving Rex appropriate outlets, he has to be on leash at all times because we have to keep his level of physical exertion low. And then once he actually starts heartworm treatment, he'll be even more restricted in his activity level. So it is a commitment with Rex that, that treatment and making sure that you are capable of doing that. But once that's finished, you can see what kind of a great dog Rex is going to be for your family. I'm not going to go too in depth into what all of heartworm is, but we do have lots of important resources available on our Facebook page in his actual adoption profile. You can look it up yourself, the American Heartworm Society, and you can also speak to any of our medical team here if you're interested in either pulling Rex for your rescue or making him part of your family through adoption so that you can have all of the facts and make an informed decision. But we're hoping that we can find a great placement for Rex and that once he finishes his treatment, he's going to be a happy, healthy guy, part of a loving family. If you're interested in learning more about Rex, you can go to visit FCAC.as.me to book that appointment to meet him, or you can send us an email at animalcontrol@frederickcountymd.gov if you just want to get some more information. We hope that you enjoyed meeting Rex as well as Michelob and all of our other adoptable dogs. As is always the case, if you didn't see something you are interested in making part of your family on the show, there are a lot more animals here in the shelter that you can come and visit by going again to that website. Visit fcac.as.me.